Hi, I'm Lindsay, and today I'm going to show you how to frost a perfectly smooth, professional looking cake to get it all ready for decorating. Now that we've leveled, filled, and stacked our cake, we're ready for frosting. So the first step you want to do when frosting a cake is apply something called a crumb coat. And a crumb coat is just a really thin layer of icing that's going to trap the crumbs in so you don't see them in your final layer, so you get a nice velvety smooth finish to your cake. So I'm just going to plop a dollop of icing on top of the cake. And it may look like a lot, but remember, you can always take more off. So what I'm going to do is just spread it along the top. And notice I'm just going back and forth with my spatula, and I'm not lifting up like that because you can risk pulling a chunk of the cake up and you'll get crumbs everywhere. And I have it on a turntable just to make it a little easier. So we're going to spread it all across the top and down to the sides. And when you get crumbs on your spatula like that, you're not going to want to dip it back into your clean icing, so you can kind of scrape it off, have a bowl on hand to have your dirty icing go into. A little bit more to the sides, and just go all the way around. And taking off all the excess icing. So that looks pretty good to me for the sides. I'm happy with that. So as you can see, we have a little crown here. So what you're going to do is take your spatula and just pull it in. Pull it in. And pull it in until you have a nice flat top. And there we have a nice crumb-coated layer cake. So now that our cake is crumb-coated, we're going to pop this in the freezer for about 15 minutes just to firm up until the icing has dried and crusted over. This is a crusting American buttercream. I'll leave the recipe to that video so you guys can check that out. All right, so now that our cake is chilled and the icing's no longer sticky to the touch, we're ready for our final layer of frosting. So I'm just going to take a big mound of frosting and plop it on top. Push it all the way across the top. Now I'm going to start working my way down the sides of the cake. And it just kind of falls nicely down. So the top half of the sides are looking good. Make sure you get all the nooks and crannies. And again, we're just going around and around with the spatula at a 90-degree angle and covering up any little cake peeking through. Yeah, I see a little bit right there. And cover that up. So now let's move over to our next step, which is going to be to really smooth it out. This is a bench scraper, and you're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to hold it upright at a 90-degree angle around the cake. Right on in. I also sometimes like to use just a small offset spatula. They're just so much easier to work with. They're little. And so see here how it's kind of dipping down a little bit? I want to push that back up. So now the very last final thing we're going to do is really smooth it out. And you can do this two ways. You can do this using a hot knife or a hot metal spatula. And you do that by, let me clean this off a little, get all the icing off. We don't want it ruining our smooth finish. So you're going to dip it into really hot water. And that's going to get the metal nice and warm. And it's going to ever so slightly melt the icing to give it a really velvety, smooth finish. Another trick you can do is using Viva brand paper towels. These are just a little softer and stretchier than regular paper towels. And you can't do it over the wet cake, so you either use this method or this method, but I'm gonna do it on the top. And what you do is just smooth it out. And this paper towel doesn't stick, so you can feel the little imperfections, and you just like iron them out. And then when you peel it back, it gives you this ultra velvety smooth top. So now that we have our velvety smooth professional looking cake, we're gonna transfer it to a cake board. The scariest part, I always get so nervous doing this. So I have my spatula underneath my cake. There we go, and gently place it onto your cake board. There we go. And I'm just gonna slide the spatula. First move it around, make sure it's center. This is a 6-inch cake, so here I have an 8-inch cake board, because you want a nice little border. I have like about an inch of border on each side. And there you have your smooth as ice frosted cake ready for decorating. So be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, connect with me online for more recipes, ideas, and baking tips. And the next video in this series, we decorate. So I'm gonna show you some really fun, simple ways to jazz this cake up with some simple piping techniques. So stay tuned and see you guys next time. Bye.